Hello, guys. I wanted to kind of talk you through some of the research, just how to do it and what to think about when you're researching. So, I'm just going to research the topic that I've been kind of looking into, which is ranked choice voting. And I started off by thinking, okay, for this project, we can use the databases and we can go through those, but we also need to see what's just live on the web because we're really looking in what makes people think one way or another about a topic and how the media pushes that. So we really do need to be using Google, which is not normal for a research paper, but that's what we're researching. So what I started with was ranked choice voting, and I just typed it in, and the first place that came up was this Ballotpedia, and I think this is one of those think tanks where they're trying to maybe influence us, just in thinking about options. And I don't know if they're liberal or conservative or what side they're on. So one of the things that I wanted to show you was that in your media resources, I've added, there's our bias chart, but then there's also bias fact check. And so if you click on this, and this is student actually showed me when she found it as she was searching. So, I really do take in, if you guys find stuff, I really do, especially with media. There's so much out there. Help me out. If you find something good, share it. So I'm going to put in let's make sure I spell it right. Ballot. I think I spelled it wrong. That's it. Ballotpedia. So that's what I want to look for. Ballotpedia. And I'm just going to type it in and see if it comes up, and it does. Least bias. So it's actually a pretty good source to use. And so this is something that I could use on my bias, either if you're still working on your articles of the week, you can still use that. You can also use this when you're kind of thinking about where to use it in your paper. So this I could use for background information on my topic. I could also, I don't know if I would use it necessarily for a side, but I could definitely use it for the background. And then I could use it as a comparison. So when I look at other things and people say ranked choice voting is terrible, and then I could kind of use this as a gauge to measure where they are creating maybe biased statements or showing bias or leaving out information. And so I can use this as kind of like a sounding board or like a foundational idea. So ranked choice voting is up here. The other one that I found was from Time Magazine, and it kind of describes it. So I'm kind of curious to see if Time Magazine takes a neutral stand on the idea of ranked choice voting, or if they're a little bit more swayed to one side, either for or against it. So I'm curious to know about that because Time's a pretty reputable magazine. So I just Googled it. This one came up, and then this Time article came up. So I'll read both of these. And this one describes what it is. It gives background. It kind of tells me a little bit about the topic and highlights and some history about it. So all of this could be cards for me. I could make this whole background idea. I could click on it, and each one of these numbered things I could copy and paste and make a card out of. And so one of the things that I want you to know is that what do you add on a card? How do you add that? So I want to go to Noodle Tools. Oops. I think this is it. It's hard to see behind the picture. Okay, so Noodle Tools is where I want to start, and I'm going to go into my folder, and I want to add my source. So I'll copy and paste my information from this here. So I'm going to create a new source. I'm looking at a website, and it's just a web page, and I'm going to do this Ballotpedia. And so I want to make sure that I get back to this main section here. So this is the beginning page, and I want to take this link, and I'm going to copy it. I'm going to go to Noodle Tools, and I'm going to paste it here. Date of publication. So it does not look like it has a date of publication here on this. Oftentimes, if you have like the Time article, you can see that the date is going to be pretty close to the top right here with the author's name right behind it, and the time even, because online, sometimes on fast-moving topics, the time does make a difference on a topic. But I don't know that you necessarily need to add that, but it might be good for you to know what order they came in, because you could kind of see an argument develop or a situation develop over time that way. So this doesn't have a date, so I'm going to skip that part because it doesn't exist. I can't make it up. Access date is today. The contributors, I'm not sure that there is an actual author. Oftentimes when you have things like this, encyclopedias, database articles that are written by the database, or you have art like encyclopedia type things, this is where they're trying to get you information just in general. You'll notice that there isn't an author, it's just a staff writer, somebody who's just trying to provide information. They're not getting a credit for it. And so you can see down here below, there's definitely none. Oh, I love this. There's support and opposition for. So a lot of my argument might be made with this particular article, which is really interesting. Not my only source, but I can get a lot of the foundations here. All right, so then I don't have an author, so I'm going to skip that. The article title, I'm going to copy and paste here. So I will take this, go back to the top. Ranked choice voting is just the name of it. So I'm going to copy this. That's what I love about this, is that I literally can just copy and paste things into their sections. It's not translated. Name of the website is Ballotpedia, which I'm not sure, that's a picture, so it won't copy and paste. So I'll just have to type it out. Ballotpedia. Publisher, this I'm going to have to look for a little bit. And so if I scroll down all the way to the bottom, sometimes you can see that there's an organization that funds it or publishes it. So private about, disclaimers, login. This is about us. So what is going on here? It doesn't necessarily have one. So I'm going to click on this about, which is also at the bottom. They claim to be neutral, which is also what we saw on that other site. Some background, what they do, sponsorship, the Lucy Burns Institute. So that is interest. That is what we want to know, because that's going to be like, who do they get their money from? Oftentimes we'll tell which way they go. If people pay to have something printed or published, they want it to say what they want it to say. They want it to support their viewpoint. So where the money comes from is an interesting thing to look at. So I'm gonna put the Lucy Burns Institute there as their background, and we don't have any contributors, no addition or version. So we're going to save this and scroll down, and it will be yellow. And this is our source. All right, now I want to add a note card. So I would suggest always in your note card that you start off with exactly directly quoting. So I want to start off with a definition. And I'm going to copy and paste the definition that I get here from Ballotpedia. So I'm going to go back to my, this is the very top again. So is an there we go. So copy, that's just the definition, just simply straightforward. And I'm going to paste it here. Oops, it's not going to let me, Control V will paste if it doesn't let you right click. So ranked choice voting is an electoral system in which voters rank candidates by preference on their ballots. That's what it is. You can put in your own words here. This might come directly from your article of the week. If you summarized, you could put some summary here, but this is the quote from the actual article. This is not your summary part of it. This is in their words. Put the direct quotation there. The rest of it I worry less about, but if you add in your original thinking here, especially if it's on a side and you kind of describe their bias, you can kind of develop out and flesh out thinking that you might want to add when you're discussing the sides of the issue. And for now, I'm going to leave it here, and I'm going to put background, because that's where I want it to go. And I can select tags here that I've already written. And then I'm going to click under my picture here, and it says save. So that is what we do. And now it always adds in the top left corner. And now I can add it to, like the different ideas. Let's see. Sure. Okay. So this is that's proponents. Let's see. Opponents, proponents, background. That's just extra from what I was describing. So I could delete these, make a trash pile, because I don't need these things. So I can just make it trash. Sometimes I don't like to actually delete things, because you never know if you're going to need them later. So I'll make like a pile like that that's just trash. And then I can just kind of put that over here in the corner, and then have it. So if I want to come back to it, I can pull it up, and I didn't actually delete note cards. So anyways, that's how I would use it. That's how I'd create a note card. That's kind of the process you want to go through. I'm very concerned about you having direct quotes in that first section. The other two sections used to help you maybe flesh out some ideas or connect some thinking. But that is secondary to making sure you get their actual quotes in quotation marks. So when you go to correct your paper, you don't have trouble with plagiarism, which is the main reason why we wanted to use Noodle Tools, was to help you with that process. So if you have any questions, please let me know.